Can you feel it? A wave of unease is creeping in, infiltrating every corner of our world. This isn't imagination. It's not a blown-out conspiracy theory. Let's begin with one of the most concealed mysteries in human history, the Shroud of Turin. An ancient linen cloth bearing the faint image of a man who suffered unimaginable torment. His face appears bruised, his body marked by signs of brutal torture unto death. For decades, the scientific community has been divided fiercely, debating its authenticity. But now they are gradually bowing to irrefutable evidence. And this is only the first piece of the puzzle. Look outward. The Euphrates River, a sacred symbol of ancient civilization, is drying up day by day. Ancient prophecies are becoming more chilling than ever. Jerusalem, the holy city, is engulfed in fire and conflict. This isn't coincidence. These are signs, omens foretold thousands of years ago. A mysterious curtain is being lifted, revealing a horrifying truth that humanity has long ignored. The Antichrist is drawing near. The question is no longer if it will happen, but are you missing the final signs unfolding before your very eyes? The Shroud of Turin, over 4 meters long, bears the strange silhouette of a crucified man. At first glance, the image is nearly invisible. But when you look closer, a face emerges, pained yet defiant, as if nailed to a cross. And if you still have doubts, look at the infrared images captured by researchers. There the face becomes clearer, like a haunting reminder of death and resurrection, not just of a man, but of faith, of civilization itself. All 4 Gospels in the Bible mention that Jesus' body was wrapped in linen after being taken down from the cross. Specifically, in the Gospel of John, chapter 19, verse 40, it states, "They took the body of Jesus and wrapped it in linen cloths with spices according to Jewish burial customs." Legend has it that the Shroud of Turin is the very relic that once covered Christ's body, leaving behind an eternal imprint, an imprint that transcends time. But what makes this cloth more extraordinary than any other? The answer lies in modern science. Experiments have been conducted using the most advanced technologies, from particle accelerators to 3D imaging, and more recently, artificial intelligence. Once dismissed as a medieval forgery in 1945 by researchers who dated it at only 700 years old, the shroud is now being proven to be around 2,000 years old, perfectly matching the time of Jesus' crucifixion. No other artifact in history has undergone such rigorous scientific scrutiny. From labs in New York to high-tech centers in Geneva, hundreds of scientists have collaborated to verify it. The result, a truth few now dare to deny: this may very well be the burial cloth of Jesus of Nazareth, the central figure of religion and the most controversial man in all of history. What's even more astonishing, even the staunchest skeptics, physicists, chemists, even atheists are starting to believe. One scientist who once publicly dismissed the shroud later declared, "I was a skeptic, but after everything I've seen, I now believe this is truly the burial cloth of Jesus Christ." They didn't just find an image. They found blood. Blood that has survived for 2,000 years, still containing enough data to analyze blood type, determine injury levels, and reconstruct the cause of death. High-resolution imaging confirms that the wounds match biblical descriptions: blood from the forehead, a wound in the side, scourge marks on the back, and nails through the wrists. A breakthrough in modern science has shaken the research community: the wide-angle X-ray scattering analysis method conducted by the U.S. National Research Council for Crystallography confirmed that the linen fibers of the shroud date back roughly 2,000 years, a timeline eerily aligned with the era in which Jesus lived and was crucified. Past studies were dismissed due to lacking proper technology. But now, with cutting-edge instruments and near-perfect precision, the truth can no longer be hidden. The scientific world, no matter how conservative, can no longer look away from the evidence. Even the most famous skeptics are beginning to believe that we may be holding a genuine holy relic, a sacred artifact that has withstood the test of millennia. And then when you stand before the Shroud of Turin, what sends chills down your spine is not just the image, but the bloodstains still imprinted on the cloth. The blood remains bright red, a biological impossibility, as human blood typically turns brown or black after death due to oxidation. But the blood on this cloth is different. Biochemical analysis reveals high levels of ferritin, creatinine, and bilirubin markers indicating extreme physical trauma before death. This wasn't just a death, it was a journey of torment where every drop of blood cries out in agony, precisely as described in the Bible's account of the Passion. All the data, all the details align perfectly with the words of the Gospels. Not a single detail is off. Now a truth is rising from the ashes of doubt. Ancient prophecies about the end times, about the return of the Messiah, seem to be unfolding before our eyes. This new research is no longer just a religious story, but a warning to humanity the Bible may in fact be true. And if Jesus truly existed, then are we living in the age that was foretold? For those who once doubted, who dismissed the Bible as mere fiction, science is now sending a clear message: the truth can no longer be denied. Artificial intelligence, with its immense data processing power, has reconstructed an image from the Shroud of Turin. The result is astonishing: a man, roughly 1.8 meters tall, with a strong, defined physique consistent with historical descriptions of a first-century Jewish Messiah. This is not imagination, not art. This is science data transformed into image, a vivid 3D model showing the face of Jesus of Nazareth as if he is coming back to life through the fabric. In 1978, a team of researchers at Sandia National Laboratories in New Mexico, the very place where the atomic bomb was developed, claimed it would take them less than 20 minutes to prove the shroud was a hoax. But 5 days passed, and no one was laughing anymore. They couldn't explain it. How could the image of a man be imprinted onto cloth in such a way? From a few meters away, the image vanishes. But up close, the man's body seems to rise from the dead. Every wound, every facial feature becomes startlingly visible, like a living apparition. No known technology from the 1st century or even the 21st can reproduce this effect, and that makes it scientifically inexplicable. Researchers also found that Jesus may have been crucified in a way more brutal and different than any other victim under Roman rule. Mel Gibson's film The Passion of the Christ shocked the world by portraying the last 8 hours of Jesus' life, a portrayal so intense many viewers couldn't hold back tears. But the Shroud of Turin reveals even more. It shows over 700 wounds on the body, including 120 lash marks, a number that speaks volumes about the boundless love he had for humanity, willingly bearing such unimaginable pain. The Bible recounts that in the final hour he prayed on the mountain, "My Father, if it is possible, may this cup be taken from me." Matthew 26:39. And yet he continued, he accepted the sacrifice. This is no longer just a matter for Catholics. This is a message for all of humanity. The Shroud of Turin is not simply a historical artifact, it is living evidence of love, sacrifice, and the promise of return. And if that day is near, are you ready to stand before the throne of God? Remember the days of film photography. Those undeveloped rolls held moments we couldn't yet see. When weapons scientists, not theologians, fed the shroud's image into a device called the VP8 image analyzer, what happened next left the scientific world stunned. The shroud did not produce a flat two-dimensional image like every other photograph. It produced a fully detailed three-dimensional model like a living topographic map. The nose, cheeks, forehead, collarbone, even veins all appeared with inexplicable depth. No other image passed through the VP8 has ever shown this characteristic, only the Shroud of Turin. And what does that mean? It means something beyond human capability has occurred, and it's still here waiting for us to open our eyes and recognize it. The VP8 machine, an image analyzer originally designed for military purposes, accidentally opened a gateway to the supernatural. When the image from the Shroud of Turin was processed, it didn't appear as a typical two-dimensional photo. Instead, the device generated a full three-dimensional model of the man's body imprinted on the cloth. And that was the moment that sent shivers down the spines of many scientists. Look closely. This isn't just an image. It's a bodily map, a strange manifestation, recreating the physical form of Jesus Christ in lifelike detail, from the bridge of the nose, the beard lines, to every visible wound. It appears as if he still walks among us. Modern technology can recreate natural wonders, restore images from distant galaxies, but it has never, not even once, produced a 3D object from a 2,000-year-old piece of cloth. And when you tilt the image from various angles, the face of the Messiah emerges in an uncanny way, not from belief, but from real data, real images, and real technology. In the 1970s, a secular Jewish scientist, someone who did not believe in religion, was invited to join a research project on the Shroud of Turin. For him, it was simply a free research trip to Italy. But when he witnessed firsthand what the shroud revealed, his heart changed. He converted. From a skeptic, he became a devout Catholic. No more doubt, no more hesitation. He firmly believed this is the very cloth mentioned in the four Gospels, the cloth that once wrapped the body of Jesus of Nazareth after his crucifixion. Despite overwhelming evidence from chemical data image analysis to blood samples with biologically anomalous properties, many still refuse to believe. They won't read the reports. They don't want to investigate. They're afraid to face the truth. But this has been foretold. In the book of John, chapter 11, after Jesus raised Lazarus from the dead, some Pharisees who had witnessed the miracle still didn't believe. They didn't blame reason. They claimed it was sorcery, a dark force, an illusion. The Bible warned us there will come a time when truth will stand clear before people's eyes, yet they will still turn away. Those prophecies are unfolding right in our age. And the question for you, the one reading or listening to this, is has your heart become hardened against the truth? We share these things in hope that even just one person, one soul will open their heart, will seek the truth on their own, will let the light of truth shine into their soul. Maybe you didn't grow up in a Catholic family. Maybe you've never heard of Jesus or the Bible, but perhaps in one sacred moment you encountered him not through a sermon, but through a profound personal experience. And since then, your life changed. We understand because we were once like that too. We used to think it was all dogma, just tradition, empty preaching. But when you encounter the Holy Spirit of God, you'll know. No one needs to convince you anymore. You'll want to know more. You'll start researching, reading, studying. And the deeper you go, the less doubt remains, only awe and joy. The world is trembling. War has erupted in Israel. The Euphrates River near the border of the Jordan is drying up. The book of Revelation, chapter 16, verse 12, once warned, "The sixth angel poured out his bowl on the great river Euphrates, and its water was dried up to prepare the way for the kings from the east." In 2020, the river was still full. By 2021, the water level had dropped significantly, and now in 2025, it is nearly dry to the riverbed. Prophecy is becoming reality, but there's more. The Bible warns of a global conspiracy project, Bluebeam, a grand theatrical deception orchestrated by powerful forces, a staged alien invasion using artificial technology to manipulate human perception and control the minds of the masses. And can you see it? Drones fill the sky, war, Jerusalem under siege, fire and destruction, all of it foretold. Even water now bursts forth from the desert, something once thought impossible. On January 18th, in one of the driest places on Earth, the Sahara Desert temperatures suddenly dropped to 2 Turini in northwestern Algeria. Heavy snow blanketed the ground, a phenomenon never before recorded in meteorological history. These signs, they leave us trembling. How could everything unfold with such precision as if prophecy had been programmed in advance, waiting for its appointed time to manifest? This message isn't just for a select group of people. It's for all who still believe in the light, especially for Catholics. Stay awake. Do not let the hardness of your heart blind you to the truth standing plainly before your eyes. The Shroud of Turin is not merely an ancient relic. It is living evidence of the love, sacrifice, and supernatural power of Jesus Christ. Prophecies are unfolding, and the day of his return is drawing near. Are you ready to stand before the throne of God? The book of Revelation, the most mysterious book in the Bible, declares that the end times will begin when the Antichrist rises and seizes control of the world. The Euphrates River has now dried up completely, a terrifying sign that the moment is close. We may not yet be in the time of the angels pouring out the bowls of wrath, as described in Revelation, but every page of prophecy, every line is slowly becoming reality. Look at the river. It is dry. What clearer evidence do we need? Before the sixth angel pours his bowl upon the Euphrates and dries up its waters, 4 angels bound at that river will be released. And according to Revelation chapter 9, they will unleash unimaginable chaos upon humanity. This is truly happening. Not folklore, not metaphor, not parable. Tragically, some still stubbornly refuse to believe. They reject the signs, refuse to research, and close their hearts. But whether you believe or not, the truth remains the truth. This video is not meant to scare. It is a call to awaken the conscience directed at souls still wandering in darkness, so that you may look again at what is happening around you and ask yourself, can all of this really be coincidence? The Shroud of Turin is currently preserved in the Royal Chapel of the Cathedral of San Giovanni Battista in Turin, Italy. A relic hotly debated by scholars but revered by millions as the physical testimony of the Savior. If you ever have the chance, go there. Stand before the shroud. Let your heart feel the sacred presence it holds. A recent documentary has revealed how scientists first discovered the image on the shroud. At first glance to the naked eye, it was faint and nearly invisible. But when scanned, the image appeared clearly: the face, the body, and every mark of Christ's suffering. In 2011, a groundbreaking experiment was conducted. Scientists used high-powered industrial lasers, not the kind used for presentations, and they found that a single laser burst lasting just 40 nanoseconds could produce an image similar to the one on the shroud in color, depth, and texture. In other words, this image wasn't created by blood or ink or any known material. It was formed by an extreme burst of light, a radiant energy far beyond the technological limits of any era in human history. Even when attempting to recreate the effect, researchers had to use 15,000 lasers firing simultaneously and still could only replicate a portion of the image. On the shroud, the entire body of Jesus appears fully and uniformly. To accomplish this, it's estimated that 18,000 lasers would need to fire at once, something absolutely impossible in the Middle Ages, and even today it pushes the boundaries of what modern science can achieve. Some scientists have proposed a theory that this radiant energy burst occurred at the moment of the resurrection. When the soul re-entered the body, a flash of light transcending all physical laws erupted, imprinting his form upon the cloth. The shocking truth: laser technology was only invented in 1946. So how could such an image exist 2,000 years ago? The individuals conducting this research were not priests or theologians, but weapons experts formerly employed by the military. Initially, their intent was to debunk the shroud, but as the data unfolded, they found no grounds for doubt. Even director Mel Gibson, who shook the world with the Passion of the Christ, spoke out after reviewing the research. He affirmed the image on the cloth could not have been created with paint, ink, or any known technique from the ancient world. It depicts a first-century Jewish man, about 6 feet tall, brutally tortured and crucified, exactly as described in the Bible. The Bible also recounts the moment of Christ's transfiguration, when he brought 3 of his disciples, Peter, James, and John, up to a high mountain. In the book of Matthew chapter 17, verse 2, it is written, "He was transfigured before them. His face shone like the sun, and his clothes became as white as the light." Could it be that very light bursting forth at the moment of resurrection was what seared his image onto the cloth? That we are living in the last days, or at least very close to them. And though no one knows the exact hour the signs are appearing from every direction, it is our hope that those reading or watching this message will be awakened and seek the truth that awaits discovery. Not only about the Shroud of Turin, but about other sacred relics as well, like the Ark of the Covenant, which once held the 10 Commandments carved by Moses himself on Mount Sinai. Another profoundly important artifact long hidden in the shadows. To Catholics, to seekers, and even to those without faith, open your hearts. Let the light of truth shine into your soul. Do not let doubt keep you from what could change your life and your eternal destiny.